Put some more. Okay. My work.
Dana, you're not going to show any of our, do you have any, I don't think we had any notes made. Dana, you're not going to show any of our, do you have any,
You are not live. Go on.
we are not live, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Madam Chair, do you want me to share your presentation?
Yes, where you're going to start will be the buildings.
Right here. So this is what I have for you.
Okay. Not that one, the process.
No, I'm just letting you know what it
That
is.
one,
So
not
you
that
decide,
one.
you decide how you want to present it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Are we ready? Do we want to can
Yes,
we
we're good to go.
go on? Or?
Go ahead, Osamu. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Osamu Uddoh. I'm going to be moderator for this session. Our first speaker today is Dr. Cordelia Uddoh. She's talking on the topic, A Stitch in Time Saves 9. Briefly, we all know Dr. Uddoh. She's the chapter chair of ANPA Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Delaware chapter. She is an eye physician and surgeon, a fellow of the American Board of Ophthalmology. She did a medical school in University of Pennsylvania and subsequently ophthalmology training at Georgetown University. She also is a real estate holder, manager, as well as involved in a lot of philanthropy in Nigeria. She's involved in multiple projects in Nigeria, and currently also she's a matron of NAMUSA, which is and she's worked locally through the Nigeria American Women for Youth Advancement, NAMYA. Thank you, Dr. Uddoh, for agreeing to do this topic for us, and you could go ahead. It's teaching time saves 9.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Samu. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Cordelia Uddoh, the current chair of ANPA PAV Delaware Valley. My topic today is Teaching Time Saves 9, is part 1 of the series of talks I'll be giving showcasing my experiences in Nigeria. Today, I will focus on my first completed project in 2018. Samuel Agobua Memorial Secondary School, Ogidi, popularly known as SAMSO. SAMSO was a project I undertook. You can show the where is it? Gee, not here. Oh, yeah. Well, sorry, I didn't transfer that to you. SAMSO was a project I undertook in 2016 when I returned to Nigeria to bury my late father, Chief Samuel Agobua. At the end of the funeral service at St. Paul's Anglican Church, Ogidi, the pastor, Reverend Canon Sunday Okafor, appealed to our family for help to build a school. We were asked to either assist in paying for the 18 plots of land already secured for the school or build the school. On behalf of the family, I undertook the responsibility of building the school. Within a year, the school was completely built, and children started education in the comfort of those buildings in 2018. So if you can show the picture 2, yeah. Kelechi, yeah, that one. Yes, so that was the newly built school. This was in 2018. To ensure that students of SAMSO got good education, we contacted organizations and individuals to donate educational books for the library. These include books in the areas of math, biology, science, physical science, history, literature, business, entrepreneurship, art, culture, health, psychology, and social science. One container of books, including other school items, was shipped and delivered to Ogidi, Anambra State, Nigeria. Can you show the picture number 3? Yeah. So these were the some of our volunteers. One of them is here. Debbie Clinsdale is there. She'll be talking. And to the far right there in the corner, cutting up the containers, is the mother. She's 93-year-old. She came to assist us. And so these are the volunteers we had on the day we were moving this around. So it is noteworthy that in 2017, can you show the slide number 4? In 2017, during the negotiations, again, these are more people. You can, if we zoom on this picture, you will see people you know. This is, that's the day we loaded that container and shipped. So in 2017, during the negotiations to build this school, the Anglican Church refused my request to become part of the Board of Trustees overseeing the school. After my investigations regarding the maintenance of the school and what it entails to keep the school operational, the Anglican Church agreed to make me a member of the Board of Trustees beginning this year, 2024. Yes, I have set up a team of administrators and maintenance engineers to help with the upkeep of SAMHSA for the benefit of the children, the teachers, and the local community. Some of them are here to tell us what the plans are. Mrs. Juliet Agia, the administrator in Nigeria, working for ENCO Dynamic Foundation, an NGO based in Nigeria. Engineer Thank God has called in. He's there waiting. Is in charge of the maintenance, also based in Nigeria. And Ms. Deborah Klinskel is the administrator based in US. Working for ENCO Foundation. Yeah, Juliet is coming in. Working for ENCO Foundation, a 501c3 public charity. So the floor is now open for Juliet. Juliet, I don't know if you are ready, or can Mr. Thank God take over? To get yourself ready. Sometimes it takes her a while to for her. She's somewhere local in the village. It takes a while. So, Mr. Thank God, you can start yours, and then we wait for Juliet.
Good evening. My name is Engineer Thank God Ikegwone. I'm a worker of, I work with the NKO Dynamic Foundation here in Nigeria, and I take care of engineering work, NKO Foundation side. So I was invited to SAMHSA School to check what's going on the building. I found out some faults that we need to be touched. Like the walls, the building itself needs to be retrofitted. That is, we have to strengthen the wall, the structural members of the building, because I discovered that the walls are cracking due to some wall loads.
Can you show the screen? Can you go down? I tell you the screen to show there. This you can number 9. You can actually bring that out. Yeah. Go ahead. Continue.
So some walls are being laid on top of the decking, as they call it, but we call it slab. On top of the slab, And due to that, the slab started sagging and causing the walls to crack. And it really affected the build structure in such a way that it needs to be strengthened the more to carry those loads that are imposed on it. Okay, then we also need to look into the mechanical part of the building, and this mechanical part of the building entails the doors and the plumbing aspect of it, which is the we have the doors, we have the heaters and the flushers, we have the pipes, because second floor and third floor water don't go up to those floors. So we need to check what the problem is. If need be, we change the pipes that are causing the problem, or we locate where the problem is from and take care of it. Also, the electrical part of the building needs to be maintained, because some switches are bad, some wires are naked and need to be coated to avoid electrocuting the students or any of the teachers. For the electrical mechanical part, most of the doors there are falling out, and it will be dangerous for children or the teachers that are ignorant of the danger of the bad doors. Okay, then we also need to, according to the information I get, we need to get a gate house there, because there is no security house there, so that the security personnel can be there and also take good care of the environment. Also, the walls, the fence is not plastered, and due to overtime, rainfall and weather conditions, the walls are weak. So if you look at the wall very well, you can see where children puncture the walls, where they call it emergency exit, where they climb out from the fence. So if we plaster the fence and also put cap on the fence where we will install our security guards, it will prevent the children from climbing over from that fence, thereby saving them a lot of injuries while trying to jump over the fence. Also, we need to install the game. We need to install a playground and game courts, like football courts, football field, basketball, baseball, etc. We need to install those things. At least it will also help enlighten the students and them physically. So
anything about the roof? I didn't hear you mention the roof.
Yeah, sorry, the roof, the roof is leaking, really. We need to take care of it, and it affected some ceiling boards that we need to also change. So that is what we have there.
So
then the environment we need to be landscaped and interlocked for us to have a very conducive environment for the students. Then the floors, when we get to the floors, we have that the floors are.
Can you show the picture, the slide number 6 for that? Mm-hmm.
They are cracked and dusty. So we need to take care of it by tiling the floors of the school, so that we will have a good atmosphere. The dust will not be able to affect the children's health. Also, we also put the ventilation enabling machines like fans, air conditioning, to make sure that air passes through very well and they have a cool learning environment. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the next person will be Julie, to tell us more about this school. She's on ground, so she's the one, she's the administrator now working for us on ground. Go ahead, Juliet.
Good evening, all. Mrs. Ukwana Sir Juliet. I'm the administrator on ground working with SAMSO. school. Yeah, the school condition is not okay. So much money was spent building the school by Dr. Mrs. Uddoh. In the school, we have the library section, we have the computer section, and we have science laboratory sections. All these sections don't have the facilities.
Can you check
that will make it.
slide number 5 and slide the others? You can go through this. Yeah.
The facilities that will make it conducive for learning. Under library, though books were supplied by Dr. Mrs. Uddoh, those books, they are there on ground in the school, but there are no school bookshelves. There are no bookshelves to contain those books. There are no reading tables, no teachers' tables and chairs, library registers, and etc. And the computer room is there.
The last slide.
The computer room is there.
Which slide, Doctor? Which slide?
The one with the chairs. The last, number 10.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay.
Then the computer rooms, there are no laptops. These are the things that is needed to make the computer room to be functionable. No laptops, and we need a set of flash drives, printers, photocopy machines, CD-ROMs.
Can you send those donate, the things required? I sent you two documents having a list. Do you have them? It's a Microsoft Word or maybe on PDF. If you can post them as she's talking. Go ahead, keep talking there.
So for the computer rooms, I said we need laptops, set of flash drives, printers, photocopying machines, CD-ROMs, photocopying papers, chairs and tables. If possible, ceiling fan or air conditioner. And the room needs to be painted and tiled because everywhere is dusty and muddy. Also, for the science laboratory, we will need a microscope, test tubes, beakers, magnifying glass, volumetric flags, Bunsen burner, thermometer, others. So many things needed to make the science laboratory functional. Also, the home economics lab. Nothing inside the home economics lab. We need some equipment like cooking pots, spoons, cooking utensils, that will help the students to carry on their practicals. Also, like my brother Tango said, we need a gate man house. The school is there in the village, and we need a gate man house the gate man that will monitor the coming in and going out of students. The state of Nigeria now, the insecurity and kidnapping. So we need a security house to put in a security guard that will be there 24/7 to monitor the school and the children. Again, we'll need also a bus, school bus, that will be able to take children to school and take them home, maybe after the school. And also we will need a car. We'll need a car for the administrator on ground. Sorry, I pressed my phone somewhere and I'm off.
Kelechi, I sent you something. Please, if you can show them.
Where did you send it? WhatsApp?
WhatsApp, yeah. They actually sent me their slides and I didn't see it. It came late, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So which one?
All
So there's
of them.
renovation
The first one,
presentation. I mean, we got
they're all-
7 minutes. There's renovation presentation and then there's presentation 1. Which one do you want?
renovation, if you can just run through what Thank God just finished. Yeah. That's his presentation. And thank God you should have spoken up that you have it. Okay. Okay. Julie, did you finish? Are you done?
Yeah, you know, Nigeria, NEPA just went off and I'm back again.
Okay.
So I'm speaking about getting a school bus for the pupils. That would be very necessary.
Keep going. Keep going as she's talking. Yeah, please. Just keep rolling.
A car for the administrator.
Yeah.
I'll be taking care of the school. Also, we'll need to have a connecting land to the playground, you know, because the one on ground, the playground there is not enough. There's not enough space for the children. So we need a spare, you know, land to join with the playground that we have so that it will be enough for children sporting. With other things that Mr. Tangod, Engineer Tangod have mentioned, these are and others are the things that will be needed to put in place for SAMSO School to function effectively. Thank you.
Okay. Column and beans. Can you just keep running through it? Yeah. Try. Mr. Tangod, you should have told me you sent me slides. I know you said you would do it, but I never checked back again to see whether it was done. And then the slides for Julie. Yeah. Do you have the second slide? That's the one for Julie. What was needed, what she compiled. Do you have it, Dr. Lawrence? You can show that. Julie, you look good, my sister. It's been a long time I saw you.
Yeah, big sis, it's been a while. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for waking up this early morning to do this talk.
Yeah.
So I want to, not this one, there's a second one that we showed you with the list of what she compiled that is needed to provide adequate library, computer room, labs, administrative offices. So it's a lot. So the next
we
speaker
just went through the renovation slide, and this one doesn't have a title. It has just presentation 1.
Yes, that's that of Julie, who just finished. Yeah.
Okay, so which one do you want though to show?
The second one. They're not the first one you just finished showing. The second one. Yeah. Okay. You can go through it as Debbie talks. Debbie, can you give us your own presentation?
Yes, greetings everyone. I have comprised 6 points to the overall scholarship scheme in the interest of school students' willingness for academic achievement. The first point, introduction to scholarship program. The scholarship criteria for the elementary students will depend on their academic efforts, merit, and willingness to perfect skills for their future lifestyle. The second point, projecting the scheme of scholarship. The discipline of the students at the elementary level will be motivated to achieve. The scheme is to help and assist as many students as possible to pay for school concerns and to enhance their academic achievements. Our target host school, SAMHSA, will be presented with scholarships that will bring opportunities for students. The third point, eligibility. Eligibility for the scholarship scheme is for particular students of the host school. Awardees must be Nigerian residing students of the host community. Upon my review of academic reports, prospective candidates' names will be presented and matched to donors, which in turn awarded funds will be forwarded to the host school. The fourth point, media, is the etiquette code for congratulations and thank you, which donors and students will be acknowledged unless donors wish to be anonymous upon request. All reports and student activities will be given careful consideration. A certificate of achievement will be presented with each process scholarship. The fifth point is donations. All donors' donations will be to secure scholarship and to support the renovation project. Donors may have their own preference in relationship to gender and age to support each student. Upon incoming donations, student reports will be reviewed in a timely manner. Last but not least, the sixth point is responsibility of the host school. Upon rewards, the host school will notify each student and family of the academic scholarship. The host school will document each awarded recipient for their school records and for any newsworthy documentation promoting positive academic future success. That concludes my 6 points for the scholarship scheme. I'm on board with this program and planning fundraising initiatives for the 2024 year up to 2028 expansion. I will document any necessary details. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I hope you guys were able to connect everything we have just presented. I know we had stated in the past that maintenance issue remains a problem in Nigeria. And when you come to build, you want to help, then they don't want you to know what's going on. And that was the approach to me. So I said, not a problem. I do what you want me to do. But I kept in touch. I wanted to see what's happening. And so this is the result of neglect, or maybe no lack of, because now that I'm involved, I decided to find out how much do they pay the teachers, how much is the tuition. There's no way these people can make money to maintain this school. You have to be honest with yourself. And then the goal is to simply help them. But they kick you out, they want to do it, and end up not being able to do it. I don't know, but anyway, we are where we are now, and we need to make it work for the student. We need to make it work for the teachers. You can't be paying teachers 20,000 naira a month or 25,000 naira a month. I mean, and then the student tuition. Let me go. I need to record this. Dan, are you recording? You are on board with this, right? Because he's saying recording stopped. So in essence, what they generate is not close to what is needed to maintain the school and make it attractive, make it a fun place for students to come. I remember my experience going to boarding school in Nigeria. It remains one of those cherished experiences. And so
Madam Chair, Osamu, who is keeping track of time? Are we keeping track of time, or do we have any time?
Yeah, that's it. We'll finish. So that's what we're doing now. Let me wrap it up now. What we're doing is to renovate and be able to find scholarship for the students and bring in more students there and we're hoping that we're gonna find sponsors for these students from US and overseas. It's $1 a day for a student. Anybody can sponsor. And they will be coordinating with Debbie, who is here in US, and privacy will be maintained. Nobody will know who you are. Juliet, who is on ground, will be coordinating with Deborah to feed the things about the student to the donors. I've done this in South Africa for many years, so I know how that is done. I sponsored 2 children starting since 1999 when I finished my residency. So, okay. So that's where we are. So any questions we can entertain?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Uddoh, for that awesome presentation. Thank you to your collaborators. Thank you for all your philanthropy and all the projects you're doing. We just have time for just 1 or 2 questions, and if not, we'll go on to the next speaker, who will be Dr. Nwankwo.
And can I also put in that anyone willing to help out here or offer scholarship to the students, they can visit www.nko.foundation.
Good.
nko.foundation. Yeah. And we're also on YouTube. Yeah.
So what I have is not a question, but commendation definitely for this work. And at the same time, I would like to advise all of us that, you know what they say, what is worth doing is worth doing well. This presentation is actually excellent, but I don't think 30 minutes is enough time to handle what needs to be done. And so for us, as we go forward with the planning, it's not just a matter of people coming and talking. If you're going to transform something, it takes time. It's not just a matter of somebody coming and saying to you, oh yeah, I've done this. Okay, yeah, you no. There are many questions that I have, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who has questions, right? That may be able to help, but we don't have time. So that's something that I'm sort of advising us to kind of take under advisement as we go forward with this wonderful idea of speaker forums. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. If no other questions, just because we're running out of time, let's move over to Dr. Odiraa Nwankwo. Odiraa, are you ready with your presentation?
I'm ready.
So, okay, I'm just going to briefly introduce Dr. Nwankwo, who we all know is the past chair of Pennsylvania, Delaware chapter of ANPA, is a clinical associate professor of pediatrics at Jefferson University, as well as pediatrics intensivist in Nemours Children's Hospital in Wilmington, Delaware. He also works in the Children's Regional Hospital at Cooper University. Is the lead of the Nigeria Pediatric ICU project. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwankwo, for coming to talk to us today on establishing a pediatric ICU in resource limited setting, a collaborative model, SPSS model. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Osa, for that beautiful, beautiful introduction and some encomium already. Good evening, everyone. My name is Odiraa. I'm an intensivist at Nemours and also at Cooper, where I am actually right now. And I'm a clinical associate professor of pediatrics at Sidney Kimmel Medical College at Jefferson. This is a very exciting topic that is so dear to me, is establishing pediatric ICUs in resource-limited setting, a collaborative model. The model that I use is what is called an SPSS model. So SPSS is, okay, hold on one second. Yeah, SPSS is a model that we coined. And as we go along, I will tell you guys what that is. So usually when I give this talk, I normally would like to talk about the problem, you know, give a little background. And I would also mention what we know about the problem. We'll look at what is missing, and then we'll discuss what we propose to do and how we will do it. But for the interest of time, you know, like Kelechi was saying, that we don't have enough time for this sort of interaction. I'm only going to just give you a little background of the problem, and then I'll tell you how we did it. So as just a little background, I want you to take a quick look at this picture. You know, this is a kid. We are all health professionals. And if you look at this kid, the first thing that comes to your mind is a kid who is acutely ill. And this is a kid that is having some respiratory issues. And the sad news about Nigeria is that prior to this project, if this child gets into any of the emergency rooms at major teaching hospitals in Nigeria, and this kid goes into respiratory failure, most of these hospitals do not have the capacity and the resources to intubate and mechanically ventilate these kids. We know that from the statistics around, the under 5 mortality rate in Nigeria is still astronomically high. It's about 111 deaths per 1,000 live births. You know, that if you translate that, he gives you 1 out of every 8 Nigerian children will not see their 5th birthday. I don't even want to go to the other statistics, but it's just staggering. And that's actually part of the reason why people like us decided that we should do something about it. So what did we do to help kids who are in this sort of dire, critically ill situation? I applied this model that I coined SPSS model. The first S there is supply. The second, the P is personnel. The second S is space. And the last S is support. What is interesting about this model is that we focused so much on the supplies. If you look at literature, you will see that if you're starting a new program like this, your initial focus will be on personnel development. But that's not what we did. Our focus was on supplies first and building the physicality of the ICU. The reason why we chose this model is because we have a good understanding of the local environment. You know, I knew that if you go to any of the teaching hospitals in Nigeria and you tell them that you want to bring this program and that you would like to train their staff first before you bring the program, they would agree with you. But the moment you leave that space, they're not gonna get back to you. And we thought that if we went there and build the physical ICU, and they could actually go there and see the ICU, they will believe the next things that they want to do. If you tell them, oh, I'm not going to train your staff, they will listen to you. So that's how we kind of changed the paradigm a little bit. As a matter of fact, we're going to be writing some papers to buttress this point since we've achieved good successes applying this model. So let's go back to this supply. So what we did, and we did this over years, you know, we just didn't get up one morning and got everything. So it took us a while to put together this supply. So like I said, I work at Nemours Children's Hospital. I also work at Cooper. So I spoke to a couple of people at Nemours. I looked at the leadership. I looked at who do I need to get this done. Spoke to them. I spoke to folks at Cooper. And then these supplies started coming in. And by supplies, I mean, these are fairly used medical equipment, fairly or not even used medical supplies. And they started coming in. I also went ahead and spoke to a couple of companies. I went to Prompt Care. Prompt Care is a respiratory company. At some point, they gave me supplies worth over $40,000, mainly ventilators, LTVs. And I also spoke to Prestige Imaging, and I got a C-arm fluoroscopy from them. I spoke to GE and got cardiac monitors from GE. So as these supplies were coming in, we ran into, where do we put the supplies? Where do you pack them? Now you've spoken to people. They know you. They are bringing these supplies. Where do you keep them? So initially, I started with my garage. You know, I filled up my garage. Then I went to my basement. And I thank my family for letting me do that. Went to the basement, I was packing them in the basement. And when the supplies got out of hand, I had to get a public storage to help me do the supply, to pack the supplies. This is my garage in Morristown, New Jersey, where I should actually be packing my fancy vehicle. But we decided to use them for packing of our supplies. If you look at the right side there, these are two complex ultrasound machines and some other supplies that you see in there. As a matter of fact, this ultrasound machine actually is helping a lot in Enugu currently, where they use that for prenatal mothers who are coming for their prenatal care. They've increased the numbers. They see them that same day, and they do the ultrasound that same day. They don't have to come from Enugu metropolis, go to where teaching hospital is in Itukozala, and then make a second return. So they told me how much this ultrasound has helped them. Like I said, when my storage unit got filled up, I moved to the basement. I did not include a picture of the basement just because of time. But when we kept getting loads of supplies, beds, stretchers, tables, operating lights, procedure lights, I had to rent a public storage in Cherry Hill. So this is the spaces I have at the public storage. At some point, I had to get two big public storages, to be able to get our supplies in. One of the things that we quickly found out was that when people now see that you take these supplies, a lot of things will come to you. As a matter of fact, people see me as a medical scavenger in the hospitals where I work. They see you on the hallway, they tell you that they have all this stuff put together for you. But what comes with it, there are sometimes you don't even know what are in these boxes. You know that there are supplies, but you might not be able to know, are these GI supplies, are these cardiovascular supplies? So what I have done, just to help us put things in perspective and together, was to organize sorting and packing and organizing events. I did the first one in 2018, and I would plan these events. I would invite anybody, doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, radiology techs, anybody in the hospital. And each time we call people, they come. So the first packing supply was in 2018. And if you see there, you see a couple of people doing their stuff there. These were residents. Some of them, of course, long finished residency. Some of them that went to fellowship, I think I've also finished. But those were mainly residents that came to do this voluntarily. We're not forcing anybody to come. People just come out of altruism. If you look at the picture on the right, that was the second, I think 2 weeks after the first one, I did a second one. And people were coming. We had some of our PQ nurses, who had nurse educators, and then, of course, some of our residents coming in. And each time we did this, because I was starting out newly with this, I would make these fancy T-shirts, just to make it a little bit colorful. And this was our first event. I got a group picture with residents and nurses that came around to help us out. The picture on the right side is actually one of the best pictures that I kind of like there. One of the residents that is there actually came with 2 of his sons. And those little kids you see there, we are digging it out, helping us pack, carrying whatever they could carry. But mind you that this is about 5-6 years ago. So I can imagine that these kids are bigger kids at this point. And I have this lovely lady who was standing behind me. I don't know that if you're able to see her, that's my first child. She was hiding her face right there behind me. The third packing event that we had, I decided to show this picture for a reason. I had medical students come out. I had nurses, I had residents, attendants come out. But what was actually striking to me, it was that one of our PQ nurses came with her husband. This was quite humbling to me. And that is the spirit that I actually love about this country. And that's what I hope will translate to how Nigerians do things. I'm not saying Nigerians don't, but this is the kind of thing I want us to emulate. So this young lady came with her husband, who is wheelchair bound. This is a young man that is on wheelchair, but he came and he was there helping us with arranging the boxes, doing the packing that he could do. I just thought it was quite a humbling experience for me. I took this picture and I thought I should also share it. Now, when we put this supply together and we thought that we had enough, we had to arrange to send them to Nigeria. Again, when you do things like this, and this is going to come maybe in my last slide, you have to be patient, you have to be persistent. You have to also, to an extent, even, I mean, that might be the wrong word to use, but even beg people to allow you to do things for them. Like when we got enough supplies and we were ready to ship, I did not want the hospital to make any single money commitment. So I didn't want anybody to hold me back. We fundraised and paid for this to be shipped to Nigeria. We paid for it to be cleared at the port of entry. We paid for it to be hauled to Enugu. You know, all I was trying to demonstrate at that point was I'm able to get these supplies. I'm able to come to UNTH and I'm able to build the physical structure of the ICU. And that's exactly what we did. So if you look at the picture on the left side, you will see a full-size mannequin just before the container was closed. When they got to Nigeria, they opened this container. I'm not going to tell you what happened when they opened it. They thought that it was actually a human being. And I heard that they were all scared, you know, when they saw. So this is a full-size mannequin, you know, but that helped us a lot when we went to Enugu to do our training. But this was the first container that we sent to Nigeria. And this is in Nigeria, actually, when the container got to Enugu. It was right there in front of the warehouse. We had enough people in Nigeria there. I had my anchor person in Nigeria who was there waiting for the container to come. He was there in Enugu. And then we had offloaders come to help us offload this. These are men at work, you know, moving all the supplies that were brought down to Enugu. One other thing that I want you guys to look is, if you look at this is the warehouse that the CMD, the Chief Medical Director of UNTH, graciously gave us at the teaching hospital there. This was when my team got to Enugu. That's me there. You know, it's dark, you might not see me, but that's me. That's some of my team members, see all of us. And we got in and started opening those boxes again to figure out what was where, you know. And one of the most beautiful things for us was that we did not miss any single pin. All the things we put in the container in the US here safely got to Nigeria. And that's about the collaboration. I'm going to talk more about that. You know, we had strong representatives down there at UNTH who are highly respected in the hospital, people of integrity, and they made sure that we did not lose one pin. And it was also so good that my associates that are in my team that came to Nigeria came over there and they saw all the supplies that the hospital gave us. They saw them intact. It was very appreciative of them knowing that whatever the hospital donated to us came to the hospital intact. You know, that kind of, they came back and they were singing praises, and that even raised our profile and made the hospital to even donate more. This was the second, when I was getting ready to send the second container. What I want to say about this is, again, we are trying to figure out what can we do to set our country in the right path. Yeah. If you do projects like this, patience, persistence, passion are all needed. This was 2020. And if we all remember, 2020 was the hit of COVID. Mm-hmm. I think it was the passion that we all had for this project that sustained us. This was when people didn't want to do anything, you know, but we kept going. We kept collecting supplies. We kept asking people to come out. On this event, I think it was in August of 2020, COVID was there. We all had to max up. I spoke to the Associate Dean of Community Affairs at the Cooper Medical School of Rwanda University. She got me about 30 medical students to come out to help us to see all of them. See, these are all medical students, about 30 of them. You know, we did it over a period of, it was a one day, but we did like hours from this hour to that hour. And all these medical students showed up. They were excited to do it. We were all covered, we covered our faces with masks. But what was at the back of our mind is, can we get this all sorted out? Can we get our container going? Can we go to Nigeria and actually build what we said we were going to build? Even the Associate Dean herself, look at her there. She was there with us doing the packing. Again, it calls for, what is it that is driving you? What is it that you really want to do? You don't want anything that would hold you back. This was that second container that went to UNTH. And this, you know, I had mentioned one of the companies, Prestige Imaging, that gave us the C-arm fluoroscopy. This is the C-arm. This is the C-arm fluoroscopy. If you look right inside this, you will see two mobile X-ray machines. These two mobile X-ray machines came from Cooper. And that is our second container, 40-foot container load of medical supplies that went to Nigeria for our project. That was the supply. So in our SPSS model, I cannot overemphasize this, that what was key, the initial step for us was to get these supplies together, build the physical ICU before the other stuff came. Some of these components of our SPSS model were running concurrently, but that supply bit of it was the most important initial step. And the next thing that we looked at was space. That's one of the S there, space. Where do we build this? Now we are coming to the hospital where? I went to Enugu, I went to UNTH before my team got there. I spoke to the leadership there. They gave us a space, but we also had to think that pediatric ICU is something that is alien, foreign to the Nigerian context as far as pediatrics is concerned. And I thought that the closest specialty to critical care is emergency medicine. So they gave us a place that is adjacent to the ED, and I like that they did that. But it was, I'm going to show you a picture, but it was a place that, please don't get me wrong, it was like a rundown place. But because of the collaboration we had with the hospital, I made a request of the CMD. I told him that I wanted him to physically remodel the place, that I wanted him to pipe in oxygen, suction, and medical gas, medical air through the walls. And he did. He even went ahead and put the air conditioner there just for temperature control and removed all the old windows and put tight-fitting windows for dust control. And we built a nursing station inside. There's some noise. Sorry, could everyone try to mute so that it's going to be a little bit smooth?
Can everyone mute their device to make things smooth? Okay, good. Thank you.
Excellent. So he went ahead also, changed the windows to make it airtight for dust control. And then we built nursing station right at the center, somehow at the center, so that the nurses will be able to. So other modern ICUs have like separate rooms, but this didn't have a separate room. It was a common space separated by curtains, but we needed the nursing station to be in a place where the nurses can sit and be able to visualize all the patients and the monitors. I told them all that, and graciously, because we were working in collaboration with them, they did all that for us. And one of the beautiful things they did also was at the edge of the ICU, we carved out a storage unit. There was a storage unit outside the ICU, but just for ease of picking up supplies, on the corner there was a tiny storage space that helps for immediate, easy collection of supplies that one will need in the ICU. Now, when I talked about that space, I was just trying to contrast what we had coming in. On the left is a model pediatric ICU room in a highly resourced environment. On the left is the space that they gave us when we came to Enugu. When I said it's a rundown place, that's the only way that I knew to describe it. But look at what happened when we got to Enugu. I want you to look at this. Look at what I'm showing you right now. This is what I told the CMD that I needed him to do this, and he did. These are the stuff that when he was remodeling it, this is for medical gas, oxygen, suction. They had done all that. He piped them all through the wall that I asked him to do, and he put in the air conditioners. So when my team got to UNTH in 2019, I think this was the day we got in, or the next day that we got in. We went there in the evening just to have a look at what they were doing. Mind you that our SPSS model was focused so much on getting the supplies and building the physical structure. We thought that if we could do that, the next component would seamlessly flow in. So this was my team coming. This was, I think, on a Sunday evening. This is how the place looked. Then we came back on Monday. By Monday evening, within 24 hours, the physical structure of the ICU was looking this way. It was amazing. It was encouraging to us. It was encouraging to the group in Nigeria. And that kind of set us up in a good, set us up for success in a good way. Then in 2021, the hospital, we had gotten everything we needed in the hospital, and then they did a formal opening of the new pediatric ICU and they started taking in patients. That was the second S. The third S is support. I cannot overemphasize the importance of support. If somebody wants to replicate what we are doing, this is what we did. We focused on local support, and then we looked at the state level support, and we looked at the federal level support. In that local support, my focus, or our focus then was, we had our hospital here in the US, we had the hospital in Nigeria. We needed support from both places. DuPont, that's Nemours now, and Cooper gave us every single support that we needed. I'll come to that. I'll show you guys a few things, apart from the supplies that they gave us. And then the leadership at the local hospital is important. Whatever you're doing, if you're not doing it if you're coming to save them sometimes, they would retract, they will rebel somehow. But if you're doing it together with them, trying to let them know that this is what you're doing together with them, the response you get might be better. Like I told you guys that we brought in these supplies, but we asked them to remodel the physical space. So as far as we are concerned, we are all doing it together. I'm not coming there to build an ICU to save their lives. We are coming there for us to all build an ICU that will take care of children who are critically ill. So that level of local support was super important. And then we moved it up a little bit. We needed state level support. I went there. Through some of my contacts, I was able to meet with the state governor then, Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi at that point. I met with him. We were all worried about what happens in Nigeria. And one of the biggest sticking point there was security. But the governor helped us, provided us with security, local transport, accommodation, feeding. When we went there the first time, the Enugu airport was shut down. If you guys remember, we were all using Asaba airport. This governor sent 2 buses, loads of mobile policemen to Asaba to pick us up with my team from Asaba. Then they took us to Enugu. So having that state level support and buy-in was so key for us. If you're taking people from America to go to Nigeria, where you know that there are a lot of security challenges, that level of state level support was super, super important to us. And luckily, we were able to get that. Then I also knew that for us to scale up this project, we could do it in Enugu, but it doesn't just stop in Enugu. For us to really scale it up, we also needed federal level support. So part of what I did was to look at the federal legislature who are involved in health in federal legislature. I was able to get in touch with the deputy chair of House Committee on Health Institutions. I got him involved. I'll show you in the next couple of slides how I got this person involved to help us with support at the federal level. Now, a few things I want to talk about the local support. So in Nemours, where I primarily work, of course, they gave us all these vents. This is Servo I. For people who work in intensive care, Servo I at use value is about $20-something thousand. This stuff that you see here. And we had about 2 of them at that point. As I speak to you guys now, I have 3 more of this. I have supplies that will fill up another 40-foot container ready right now that we're going to ship. But at the point we were sending this in 2019, we had 2 of this. Those came from Nemours. We had LTVs. Some of them came from Nemours. Some of them came from Prompt Care, the respiratory company that I mentioned to you. But it was not just that. Nemours gave me an intramural grant of $27,050 to support travel cost of our associates. So I don't know how solid, again, one would imagine that you could get from your local hospital. Then for the local support from the host institution, I went to Enugu before my team came. I went to speak to the CMD, Professor Uddoh, who you're seeing there. He happens to be my classmate in medical school. So he knew when I came to talk to him, that's myself there, that's me here. So when I came to talk to him, because we stayed about 6 to 7 years in medical school, he knows who I am. He knows that if I said I was going to do something, that I was going to do it. So he agreed with me. He bought into our vision, but that was not enough. He told me that he wanted me to come and speak to their board. Coincidentally, they were having their internal board meeting around the time I visited UNTH. So he asked me to come and address this board to share the project and the program with them. And luckily for me, I had some of my classmates who are now big guys at UNTH. This is Professor Ikenna Onwekwe, he's a professor of neurology. That's Professor Naga, then he was an associate prof, but full prof now of gastroenterology. So these guys were my classmates in medical school. So when they heard that I was at UNTH, they all rushed to CMD office. And I told them that CMD invited me to come to talk to the board. They said, oh, they were all coming with me. So they all marched together. Again, collaboration. They came, I spoke to the board. I was able to convince them. They bought into the vision. And that made Obina's job so much easy for us. This was when the physicality of the ICU was taking shape. That's a picture I took with the CMD. And the federal level support that I talked about so much, that the governor gave us security, accommodation, feeding, and all the other local logistics. When we were in Enugu, he hosted us twice over a period of 1 week, just to encourage people that I plucked from here to Nigeria. The first hosting he did was on a Monday. We went to UNTH on Monday morning. By Monday evening, he wanted to see all of us. We went there. He couldn't join us. He went to somewhere and it was raining and he couldn't come back early enough. He asked his secretary to state government, Professor Simon Otuanya, to represent him. That's the gentleman here. And that was me making a little remark at the government house with my team. And then on Friday, our last day in Enugu, we're going to fly back on Saturday. On the Friday evening before we were going to fly back, he gave us a very big gala. You know, these are all things that he was doing to encourage us. He gave us a gala. He called the traditional dancers of Enugu State. He entertained my team so well. And they came back here and they were singing all praises. That actually encouraged people here. You know, at some point, people were begging to join us to go to Nigeria. So I appreciated that level of federal level support in Enugu. And then I came back that December of 2019. I was looking for federal level support. I went online, I searched, I got in touch. I saw that an Enugu State man was the Deputy Chair, House Committee on Health Institutions, Dr. Martin Zoke. He's from Ako in Igbo local government. I think on the 28th of December, I drove to Ako. You know, I went there, I had a family.
Dr. Wangos, you have like 5 more minutes. So
yeah, sure, I'm going to rush now. So anyway, I got Dr. Martins to come to his, at that point, he was Deputy Chair, House Committee on Health Institutions. So he promised to come to UNTH. He wanted to see the stuff himself. He's a medical doctor, former commissioner in Enugu State. He came over there, he saw it. He promised to bring it up in one of their plenary sessions just to promote it. Don't ask me if he did that. These are politicians. And then you now go to the last of the component of the model, which is personnel training. Again, our own SPSS model was different from what is published out there. Start with training, we did not. We started with supply and building the physical structure, and then we came to training. This model has succeeded, not because our own was better. No, it was because we had understanding of the local environment. That's why we did it this way. And we've achieved this success. We're writing it up just to show people that you don't have to do it the way other people have done it in the past. You just have to understand your local environment. So we started with the initial phase of training. This was us. You know, I did a lot of skill stations while we were there. But these things were not going to be enough. We were showing people how to intubate, how to do central lines. It wasn't going to be enough. I knew that these folks needed formal training, but there is no fellowship in pediatric critical care in Nigeria. Through some of my network, I was able to get 2 doctors, actually 3 at this point, to go to, there are only 2 programs in Africa that do fellowship in pediatric critical care. One is in South Africa, one is in Kenya. So I used my network from here to link up to those institutions, and we sent 1 doctor, one of the consultants, to Red Cross War Memorial Children's Hospital, University of Cape Town. I sent another one to Pediatric Emergency and Critical Care Program in Kenya. And then this 3rd one, when I made this slide, was in South Africa. She's finished, she's back now. So at UNTH, we have 3 fellowship-trained pediatric critical care attendants. And I also searched again and saw Gertrude Children's Hospital. They train nurses in pediatric critical care nursing. I sent 2 nurses over there. When I said that I made the connections, I made the network, but the CMD paid the physical cash for them to go and also was paying them while they were there. Again, collaboration with the local institution. This is the hospital where our folks, one of the 2 doctors went to train in South Africa. This is the hospital in Kenya where one of the doctors went. This is the hospital where the 2 nurses went to get their higher diploma in pediatric critical care nursing. So as I speak to you right now, we have 3 attendants, 3 critical care doctors there. We have 2 critical care nurses there. And in 2022, when we went back, we decided to also do some clinical services for them. This is us, UNTH and Parkland. This is some of the one we're doing around Parkland. And we went with pediatric surgeon, pediatric anesthesiologist, and they joined and did some surgeries. Before we did this surgery, we had meetings, several meetings between our group here and UNTH to select the cases. This was a part of the round, you know, our people teaching the Nigerian people. And then the program in South Africa, we were so impressed with what was happening in Enugu that they actually came down to Enugu to see what was happening. This was in November of 2022. The South African program came down there. This is the round in the ICU there. This is my team in 2019. So great team. This is my team in 2022 in Enugu. Each time we went there, I tried to get them wear some local apparels just to spice it up a little bit. Part of fundraiser that we did, this was last year, May 31st, we did a guest bartender event, well attended. Some of our team members were there. Kelechi was there, Timmy was there, and then Nelly that we talked about, she was there too. It was a good event, and we raised some good money. Actually, part of money we raised there is what we're going to be using now to ship this third supply. This is my last slide, and I need to say this. This is the most important slide for me. I call it citizens' power. I call it paying forward. I call it dreaming. This is just to encourage us. I know that we're all powerful people. I think we are. I think you are. I think I am. And I have this belief that people solve problems. We can complain all we care, but people solve problems. I would encourage us to just do something. In that your area, if there's anything that you can do, no matter how big, no matter how small, just do it. Be intentional. Be intentional. Be patient. Be persistent. It takes a long time. Let there be a passion, a burning zeal in you to keep. That's what's going to sustain you. It's not always all rosy, you know, but if you're passionate about it, you're going to get it done. And then please, let's collaborate, you know, collaboration. You can never do it alone. Bring people in. It has not been a very easy road, but it's a gratifying road. I love this quote from JFK. And he said this when he sent Americans to the moon, that they do this not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And it's hard now in Nigeria, but that's the reason why we do this. I'm going to be willing to take some questions. I hope this was not so rushed, but we didn't have so much time. So
thank you so much, Dr. Odiraa Nwankwo. That was an awesome talk. Just so you know, you're not a medical scavenger. You're just an awesome guy with a big heart, you know, and let's be patient, let's be persistent, perseverance, that's the word, you know. So does anyone have any other questions before we go to our TED Talk today? Any questions?
Awesome talk, Dr. Odiraa. I was on my feet when you gave something similar at the last academy. Yeah, so as I said, there's a special class for people like you, I, and all the others who not, and I don't know what keeps us going.
Crazy.
Something keeps us going.
Crazy.
And it's a joy to see others in that class.
Excellent job, Odiraa. It was certainly rushed, and we could do just this for our speaker forum. Really, it's that good. And I'm sure we're not going to have time to get into all the things that we need to get to. But thank you for taking the time to read, you know, get into some of the details that you did get into. Because that was the thing that motivated me, suggesting that we should stop looking for people to come and solve our problems, because the people who are going to solve the problems are among us.
Yes.
You and the Dr. Cordelia have actually kicked this off in a very profound way. I hope nobody has any doubts anymore, but if anybody does, I hope they listen to you very, very carefully. Thank you so much.
Can I say something?
Yeah, that'll be the last question, and then we'll go to the next speaker.
It's not a question or that. I just wanted to add something. My name is Amaka Uddoh.
Okay.
I listened to Dr. Odiraa. Oh, I am
so proud of him for engaging in such big projects. But I just wanted to ask something, or ask me a question. Dr. Odiraa, what prompted you, to do this amazing and humanitarian job, to take it to Enugu? Do you have any plans of bringing it down to teaching hospital in Nnewi or Awka? Is there any plan in future to consider teaching hospital in Awka and Nnewi for this amazing and wonderful work of yours with your team?
All right, thank you so much, Amaka. That's a very, very good question. And you are not alone in that question. I get that a lot. People come to my page on Facebook and they keep telling me that I'm from Anambra and we're doing this in Enugu. The Nigerian thing.
Mentality.
Yes. But what I can tell you is the second container that we sent to Nigeria was divided into two. Half will go into UNTH, half went to Nnamdi Azikiwe. As I speak to you right now, the two mobile X-ray machines, one is at Enugu, one is at Nnewi.
Wonderful.
The teaching hospital in Nnewi is building a permanent site. And I'm in touch with Dr. Ubaja, who is the young man that is the new CMD there. I think last week, one of the doctors from Nnewi who came for the training was pushing me, and I said, oh, we're going to do it. The moment they finish that permanent site there, we're going to help them to set up their ICU. And I promised them too that we're going to connect them with the training center in South Africa so that some of their doctors would also go there to get the training. So that process is going. Now, I have, as for Awka, I met with Soludo when I was in Nigeria.
Yes.
In January this year. And I told him part of what we're going to do. We have a third container we're going to be going any moment from now. That container would, maybe half of it will be for Awka, half will be for UNTH, because that's where we have a viable project so far. This is for the Southeast. However, the vision of this project, in the next week or two, you guys are going to see there's a promotion we're doing very soon. And you will see what I'm saying now. The vision of this project is to have one pediatric ICU at a major teaching hospital in each of the 6 geopolitical regions. We're not just doing this for the Southeast alone. We're going to branch out, but we are scaling it up. And I don't want to take much time, but we have those things in our...
Thank you, Dr. Wanko. Thank you for that presentation once again. We'll have to move on to our last speaker for tonight. The last speaker is going to be Dr. Kelechi Lawrence. Dr. Kelechi Lawrence is a pharmaceutical professional with diverse and extensive experience. He's held leadership positions in business development, clinical trial management, project management, and medical affairs in global pharmaceutical companies. He's the founder president of Delaware African Coalition, a non-profit organization that advocates for all people of African descent in the state of Delaware. He's an active volunteer. He serves on the board of many community and non-profit organizations, current chair of the Delaware African and Caribbean Affairs Commission, and has received many professional and civic honors. Dr. Lawrence has led successful trade and medical missions to Nigeria. He's a founding advisor to the State of Good Clinical Practice in Nigeria, and also a member of Nigeria Clinical Trial Technical Working Group. He's the president of the Waterhead Investment Group. He holds a PhD in molecular pharmacology from the Medical University of South Carolina and completed a postdoctoral fellowship at the College of Physicians and Surgeons in Columbia University. He holds an MBA in Marketing and Finance from University of Delaware. He's published several scientific articles and given scientific and civic presentations to different local and national audiences. Dr. Lawrence is going to talk to us on working to reactivate a fish feed mill in Delta State. Lessons learned. Go ahead, Dr. Kelechi.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go through and bring up my slide. Let me know when you can see, please.
Yeah, we can see.
You can see? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So today I'm going to share with you some of the experiences we had working to reactivate a fish feed mill in Delta State. As I'm sure you know, feeding, some people actually think that feeding food is a form of medicine, right? If you are healthy, a lot of your ailments will kind of go away and stuff. And so food definitely is kind of our approach here. So let me see. All right, so this is the kind of outline that I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about the current state of aquaculture in Nigeria, lessons we've learned so far, what the Delta State government was doing to promote the industry in the state, the technical audit of a plan that we just acquired, and then, you know, how we are building the project overall. And then, you know, some of the things that Dr. Nwankwo and Dr. Uddoh have already mentioned, overcoming some of those challenges through some of the things they are doing, partnership, Odiraa called it collaboration, how we have financed things and all that, and then additional success factors. So going through, I'd like to start, first of all, with, let me see if I put this down here. Okay. So we start with the current state of aquaculture in Nigeria. So for right now, let me see. Okay. So the Nigerian government actually has recognized the potential of aquaculture to boost food security and to generate income. It is actually a very nice and easy way that you can create a lot of employment very, very quickly. Okay. You know, so government has various policies and initiatives that have been implemented to support the growth of the sector, and including things like provision of subsidies, training programs, and things of that nature. When it comes to production, Nigeria is actually one of the leading producers of farmed fish in Africa. As a matter of fact, within the West Africa sub-region, Nigeria is a leading producer, you know, producing catfish, tilapia, and things of that nature. So as far as market demand, there is a growing demand for fish, driven, of course, by, you see, Nigeria population is growing, right? There is increasing urbanization. There is changing dietary habits. You know, people want to eat more healthy. They don't want to eat red meat and things of that nature. So aquaculture definitely plays a critical role in meeting that demand and reducing the country's reliance on imported fish. Because right now, Nigeria actually imports about a third of the fish that is eaten in the country, which is kind of crazy when you consider that we have all the coastline that we have. Research and development. Some governments, some institutions and universities are in fact beginning to recognize that this is an area that needs to be developed. And they're working in areas like breeding techniques, disease management, feed formulation, and things of that nature. Okay. There are still challenges, obviously, as I'm sure the two previous speakers can attest to. There are still a lot of challenges, but despite these challenges, which include inadequate infrastructure and limited access to quality feed and fingerlings, poor water management and things of that nature, you can still do stuff, right? I want those of you who may now be invested, who may now be motivated, interested to invest in Nigeria, that this could in fact be a viable area of investment. And I'll tell you, you know, some of the reasons why. So I'm going to share with you the lessons we learned. I know the title of my talk is Lessons Learned, and you will be expecting it at the end, but I'm going to give it to you upfront, right? So here are the lessons that we have learned in doing this over the last 6-7 years. There is a mountain of ignorance among Nigerians about business and economics. And I know many of you are going to be challenging me about this, and especially the diaspora people. We know even less about Nigeria than we're supposed to know. And yet, for Nigeria to develop, it's going to take you and me. It's going to take the diaspora to transform the country. And so it behooves you, therefore, to begin to know what is going on. Make yourself aware, learn things, so that when you make decisions, they are informed decisions, they're intelligent decisions and things. This is not to say that things are not going to be difficult. However, your decisions should be well informed. Opportunities exist everywhere in Nigeria. Okay, you don't need me to tell you that, but everywhere. And I'm glad about some of the people who actually came to us from Nigeria, joined this particular session from Nigeria, as I was listening to them. And I hope many of you were listening to them, listening to the way they were talking, listening to the way they were sounding. These are very intelligent people. But they're also in short supply, okay? But there are a lot of people in Nigeria who are very capable. What they need is just an enabling environment. And some of us can help to provide the enabling environment. Some of the people will help you. You need to know that. Some of the people will help you. In fact, a lot of the people you're trying to help will undermine you. So don't be discouraged, okay? You must be fully committed to your project. I think Odiraa mentioned it, including the possibility of having to go live in Nigeria. I know some of us think that we're having such a good life here, whatever we call good life, but you need to consider the possibility that you may need to actually go live in Nigeria in order to fully realize this project. There is actually funding, we found, for a lot of projects. Agribusiness we're focusing on, but in other areas as well. State funding, federal funding, international funding. As a matter of fact, we got to a point where we were going to attract a $2 million grant from the USAID, until the people we were working with, thought that that was money, and they started misbehaving, as people often do when they see a little bit of money. So there's funding for these things. Now, you need to do your market analysis. If you notice, Odiraa, it sounded like you did a lot of very good market analysis. You need to understand the environment, the market for the project that you are embarking upon, so that once you start, you can continue to go and continue to build. And in fact, in our own case, we've been doing this market research now for the last 5-6 years. And it was, in fact, through that market research that we decided to expand the scope of the project to now become, instead of a feed mill, but an aquaculture value chain project. Staffing, like I already said, a lot of these people in Nigeria, they are really quite competent. They just need a little bit of freshening up here and there in order to be able to do the things that they are supposed to do. But there are competent people in Nigeria who can do what you need done if you're willing to train them and you're going to be patient to do that. You have to be adaptable, okay? I know Nigeria is not America. You shouldn't expect that when you go to Nigeria, you are going to get situations similar to America, and that if you don't do that, then you're going to start screaming. If you do that, you're going to have lots of problems. So these are some of the lessons. There are many of them. We're continuing to compile those lessons. We're continuing to learn as we go along, but I wanted to serve them to you upfront. So then what am I trying to bring to you today? What I'm actually trying to bring to you today is something about a fish feed mill that we are just recently acquired from the government of Delta State. Okay, so a little history, put things in perspective for you. So it was about 7-8 years ago, the state government, like I said to you, wanted to really grow the industry in their state. Okay, if you know, Delta State is about what, 40% or so water. Okay, so you can imagine that things like aquaculture should come naturally to them. And so they wanted to really organize the industry, grow the industry. And because feed accounts for about 60 to 70% of the cost of running a fish farm, they thought that the best way to support the growth of the industry was to build fish feed mills around the state. They also wanted to use it to create employment for the youth and women. So around 2015 or so, the Ministry of Commerce at the time, along with some other investors and the Bank of Industry, decided to get into a public-private partnership, to build 4 fish feed mills throughout Delta State. The dividends of democracy have to sort of be spread, okay? And that was kind of the plan and part of what was driving it, the politics of it. So they wanted to be sure that it was scattered throughout the state so that everybody kind of felt, involved and engaged. So they ordered equipment for 4 fish feed mills from China, which were eventually delivered to Nigeria. 2 of those feed mills were actually, assembled in Warri and Ika. And the equipment for the other 2 are still in storage. And I will tell you why that is the case. So when the Chinese team that came from China to build this out finished the two, they wanted to use the Chinese to run the feed mills. So the Chinese people are creating employment for their people wherever they are. But the Delta State government refused. So the Chinese people got angry and abandoned the whole project and went back to China, leaving the installed mills idle. So now you have white elephant projects as a result. So around 2017, you know, at the time it was the chairman of Delta State Investment Board was actually attending a conference in Philadelphia here. And during one of the sessions, he happened to hear some things that made him to sort of approach us to see whether we could take over or help them find people who could run the feed mills. In the process, we thought it was a joke. Eventually, we traveled to Nigeria and saw that it actually wasn't a joke. And eventually, we negotiated actually to acquire the mill, one of the mills, if you will, which is the one that we have now. Because it was in 2018, they eventually concessioned one of those mills to a local company in Nigeria that is running it right now. So this other one has been sitting there idle, and so we negotiated to acquire it. And so that mill has been acquired. We acquired 90% interest in it. So government of Delta State still has about 10% interest. So it's more or less a public-private partnership. But we wanted it to be so for strategic reasons. Because again, the mill where the land where the mill is built is public land that government took. And so we did not want people to feel that government took their land and sold it to somebody, and we didn't want to be dealing with that kind of a challenge. So that's the reason for that. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to show you now is a little bit around the factory. Okay. So we're using, this is one of the companies that we're using to run this particular aspect of the business, Valencia Global Limited. So this is inside the factory when it was first, a cross-section of it, when it was first finished. But of course, like I said, it's been sitting there for the last, 5-6 years. So this is the entrance. Toward your right is actually the main factory building. As you enter the gate, immediately to the right is the administrative building. The left side is the security gatehouse. You see a cross-section of the water management system within the facility, just sort of the general cross-section of the area. This is the generator room and boiler. It has two generators, one 500 kVA generator that actually runs it when needed, and a smaller one to provide light, 50 kVA to run it. So as I said, because the plant has been sitting idle, installation was completed, but it wasn't fully commercialized. Okay, and so we had to do a technical audit to assess the status of components to see whether this is still workable. Now, Engineer Jobo there, Cast Products Limited, is really important. Let me talk a little bit about him. That company was the company that from conceptualization to design to ordering the equipment and all of that, they were intimately involved. They went to China to bring the Chinese, they worked with the Chinese to install the plant. So it was because of their availability to us in that they know what's, basically about the technical details of the factory that gave us some of the impetus actually and the confidence to really, do some of the things that we're doing. Now, this Engineer Jobo, some of you may know him if you are from Edo State. He actually served, he was a commissioner for works for Lucky Bunadian, okay? And I must tell you, and when I say it, some people say that, one is being either optimistic or something like that, or ignorant even, okay? There are a lot of good Nigerians at all levels. This guy is one of them. If you see him and somebody told you this was a commissioner, you would never believe it. In fact, when he was commissioner, he was asked to build substandard roads. He refused to do it. And as Odiraa pointed out, Madam pointed out, there are many of these people in Nigeria. You just need to find them. And the surprising thing is that sometimes when you're doing something good, these people have a way of coming to find you. So with the support of Engineer Ojobo and Cast Products Limited, we enlisted their help to do a technical audit, and they evaluated the plant. So the factory is what you see on the left-hand side there. What we want to take it to is what you see on the right-hand side. We want to build a warehouse and basically update the entire factory facility, including some of the landscaping and things of that nature. And what they have provided to us is actually a detail of what needs to be done. What I'm showing you here, we have details of timelines it's going to take, cost that is going to take to do everything. And, so the timeline is for week 1, they're going to look at the physical infrastructure and the other support services. Phase B will be repair of the mill equipment and machinery, okay? And then the last phase is going to be commissioning, ultimately. The whole thing is supposed to take about 12 weeks or less once you get the funding, which is about to happen. So with them, we have every confidence that this thing is going to actually work. So now, like I mentioned to you before, so what I showed you is just about the feed mill, but the business that we're doing is not the feed mill. It's a aquaculture value chain project. And what is that? What is that is actually, we want to play throughout the entire value chain, starting with a feed mill, which will be doing manufacturing of fish feed. We're also going to build a fish processing and packaging center, because part of the things that we found out when we were doing market research was that the fish farmers had problems with market access, okay, particularly during the rainy season. During the rainy season, when rivers and streams overflow with new aquatic forms and things of that nature, the cost of fish or the price of fish goes down. But if you are farming fish, you feeding is just like feeding a baby every day. They're going to eat. They're not just going to eat air. They're going to eat. You're going to spend money to do that. So for them during the rainy season, they usually have difficulty selling their stuff. So we said, okay, what you do is you buy feed from us. We'll buy all the fish that you produce. And by so doing, then we're going to have to set up a fish processing and packaging facility. We also want to grow some of the input materials. So we're going to get into farming. So corn, soybean, those are some of the major grains that you use for fish feed. We're going to get into that. We have access to about 4,000 hectares right now, okay, that we can use at will. And of course, to tie everything together, you need training. You will do training at every step to be sure that the finished products that you make is going to be acceptable and meet the standards that you want. So, like I said, all of this couldn't have been possible without some strategic partners that we have, some of whom are here. So the Delta State Ministry of Agriculture is a strategic partner. At Camp 74 Fish Farmers, they have over 6,000 ponds there. It's in Asaba, okay? There is also the Maize Farmers Association of Nigeria, Delta State branch. They are the ones that, in fact, are providing to us profile farmers who are going to train to do farming exclusively for us. As I mentioned before, universities are getting involved, as they should. In all of these things that we're talking about, universities need to be involved. Delta State University, Dennis Osadebe University, in quality maintenance, in research, and so on and so forth. So we have those kinds of support as well. So you couldn't do this all by yourself. You have to have this kind of support in order to be able to do it. So how are we funding this so far? So far, really, it's been self-funded, okay? I don't want to tell you how much has been spent so far, but we're looking for additional funding. We can get a loan from Bank of Industry. We're pursuing that opportunity. The CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, has intervention funds that are available for agribusiness. Also, that's an outlet that we are open to. And of course, private investors. At the beginning, or before we even got into this section of the talk, I had mentioned to you that I went to Nigeria with an investor from Philadelphia, an African American who had never been to Nigeria ever before. Okay, so he wanted to go see the factory with his own eyes. You know, I mean, you know what the story is about Nigeria and all of that. So we were delighted that he went. In fact, like I said, I told him, he asked me, how are we going to go from Lagos to Delta? I said, we're going to drive. He said that his Nigerian friends told him that it is insecure to do that. I said, okay, yeah, you tell your friends that that's the way we are going to travel. By the time we got to Ore, he was thanking me for making him drive, because he said he did not know that Nigeria had that kind of road network. Okay, if you're going to invest in a place, it is important for you to spend time with the people. You got to know the people. You cannot be investing without understanding the people, the things they like, they don't like, and things of that nature. Okay, so needless to say that, I mean, this guy loved Nigeria. I don't know whether he's going to invest or not, but at least that's entirely up to him. But he's had that experience now, and I believe that it was a positive one for him. So there are additional success factors that we think we can share with this group, or anybody who wants to.
Oh, Dr. Lawrence, going in last 5 minutes.
Yeah, in fact, I'm done. Do anything. Regulatory compliance. You need to familiarize yourself with regulatory requirements. There is the NAFDAC that is there, and there is the SON, Standards Organization of Nigeria. These agencies actually are very important. And one of the things we're finding out is that a lot of their staff also can be quite helpful. Quality control. Like I said, you need to invest in quality control measures, especially food. The food is for the fish, and, you know, just like human beings, they need to eat quality things as well. So, and we are paying attention to that. Raw materials, I already told you that in order to maintain control costs, we're going to be growing some of our input materials like corn, soybean, and things of that nature. Of course, the people in Nigeria are fairly capable. They can maintain the equipment. In fact, I know that some people can even do fabrication of some of the equipment in Nigeria. So we're really quite encouraged by, you know, that point. Financial management. You need to have financial management. So let me tell you about something that one of the chartered accountants that we're actually working with now to package something for Bank of Industry. What they do is, in order for them to actually agree to work with you, you have to agree that even if you get funding afterwards, they will have to post somebody to monitor your financial process internally. Somebody that they will pay, who is not your employee. So with that, you have control measures, you have monitoring, and you have those kinds of capabilities that if you pay attention to them, then you have a better chance of success. So with that, I want to say to us that I'm really delighted that we're doing this, because for many of us, we think that somebody else is going to come and change Nigeria. But some of us believe that if Nigeria is going to be transformed, the diaspora have to play a role. And every single one of you, regardless of, you can decide you want to go and grow rats in Nigeria. Whatever it is that you decide to do, go there, do it. Don't expect that things are going to be easy. I mean, I've given you a presentation now and you think, oh yeah, things have been easy for you. By the way, I am not from Delta State. I'm actually from Imo State. And that question has also been asked of me and stuff like that. But I can tell you that the people of Delta State have been so helpful. In fact, when one of my cousins came from Owerri, he was saying to me, you didn't tell me that we have relations in Delta State. That's how accommodating and cooperative the people of Delta State were. So wherever you find people who are willing to work with you, go there. Do not say it must be in my town, it must be in my state, it must be wherever. One thing that I promised myself was that it was going to be below the Niger. That was it. Beyond that, I didn't care where. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. Thank you for your awesome talk. It's amazing that today we've talked on diaspora offering hope and making a difference in Nigeria. We've talked on having an impact in the educational sector, having an impact in the health sector, and now this awesome talk by Dr. Lawrence having an impact on the agricultural sector. Do we have any questions? It's been a long evening.
Yeah, Dr. Timmy raised his hand. After him, I will ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Timmy.
I don't have a question, just a quick comment. Thank you very much to all the speakers for the excellent talk. Very exciting, very inspiring, and kudos to all of you for the work that you're doing. Just to mention what Kelechi said, interestingly, I know Ojabo and Ojabo were in the same school together.
Do you know him?
Yeah, he's an excellent gentleman.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and Erondu Ngozi was on his room was next to mine in medical school as well. So I'm closely connected with a number of the people whose names you mentioned. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
From the past. From the past, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, my question is, because it's also part of what is on our bucket of eco farms is fish farm. Okay, so you said that the equipments are not made in Nigeria; they're all
Chinese
equipment.
Yeah, but American spec. So they were fabricated specifically for these people, and they gave them the specifications that they wanted. Yes.
I see. And also that the industry, the Bank of Industry in Nigeria, when they're funding you, they will send someone to look into your financials and help.
Okay, so here is what Bank of Industry does. So Bank of Industry actually has what I think is a fairly good system. They have different professionals that do different things for them. So they have independent professionals like valuers who do estate, chartered accountants who will do different things for them. So if you are applying for funding from them, you don't apply directly to Bank of Industry. One of these, they call them BDSPs, Business Development Specialists. Okay, one of these people will have to accept to work with you, to package your stuff, to get all the requirements based on Bank of Industry standards, and agree that, in fact, they will do the preliminary evaluation of your project in terms of feasibility and all of that. Because if it's not feasible, they're not even going to, they're not even going to get involved. So, and part of them being comfortable putting their name on the line is that they have to monitor what you're doing, because their name is also on the line.
As funding it, huh?
Exactly.
I see. Okay. I know this will be we haven't done that. I don't know. So from the time you start, tell us the span, the lifespan of a fish. How do you grow them? You buy them or whatever, and then you plant them, and then it takes how long for them to be adult?
Adults. So you start growing the fish. They start out as fingerlings, babies, and then they go into adolescence, right? The small ones that you see dried within about 3-4 months, right? You get the what they call smokables. Okay, I don't know if you've heard that. So the smokables are the ones that you see a lot in the market, folded fish, dried and all of that. So you get those about 4-5 months. Okay, but the ones that they do point and kill, which is about 2 kilograms, 1.5 to 2 kilograms, will probably take you about 6-7 months to get to that level. Okay. Wow. So quick. Yes, so generally they can do 2 cycles per year. Within a 12-month period, you can do 2 cycles. So there are people who do 3, right? Like I said, if you just only want to grow the smokables, 3-4 months, you're there, boom, you start all over. So.
Wow.
I have another question. If Nobody else has a question.
Go ahead, Timmy.
I just want to, okay.
So just a quick comment. The US government, as you know, is supporting development of Africa in order to compete with the Chinese. There are banks here that will provide funding for US machines to be used in Africa. But a lot of people go to China. The challenge, all of us live in America, and I'm sure we love America, and we shall love to support America. But unfortunately, the machines from the US are much more expensive compared to the ones from China. So I'm just wondering, Kelechi or anybody else, how have you navigated this kind of, what I call it, ethical, moral / economic conundrum?
So what you said is correct. And again, if you really look at it, I don't blame the Americans. After all, what they're giving you or what they are funding or how they are supporting taxpayers' money. Yeah. So that taxpayer money somehow has to benefit the US economy. And so the thing is, again, to really be smart about it, like I said, Nigerians are really, I mean, I don't need to tell any of you this. Nigerians are very smart people, okay? So you may not want to buy everything from the US, in other words. You could buy the core things from the US and then, you know, make it up with locally fabricated stuff and things of that nature. We haven't gotten there yet, but I do know that when we get to that point, it will be possible to do, particularly in the area that we're working. Like, for instance, belts and things like that, conveyor belts. You could do conveyor belts locally, right? You don't need the fancy schmancy US conveyor belt, as an example.
But a lot of the heavy machines, they are made in the US.
Correct.
You can also get them in China for about 50 to 60% of the US cost.
No, I know what you are saying, though. I mean, like I said, it's a US policy, government policy thing. It's not for you to change, and you cannot change.
And I know, yeah. I'm saying, if you have private funding, would you prefer to come to the US or to China?
Oh, if you have private funding, of course, you get more with the money that you have. Absolutely. Yeah.
By going to China.
Yeah, I support that. I agree, because we had
agree to what?
Agreed to sourcing the equipment. Gee, that's a rat, though.
In your house?
What's here?
Really? Yeah.
From the garage.
It's probably a mice, not a rat.
Is that, how do you tell?
Mouse are smaller, rats are a little bigger.
Go and get a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, the So yes, if you yes, the ones we checked was in those days. I mean, I wouldn't work with the state if because mine is still lingering. So I'm beginning to get out from the state influence because I think I can afford it. And so I'm going to China or to any place out or within Nigeria, unless US will give funding for me to buy US. And if you're giving that funding, it has to be it has to be really
low interest free. I mean,
so guys, here's the difference. You can get grants from the US. It doesn't have to be loan, right? You can get grants from the US, in fact, from USAID, whatever. Remember, I had mentioned to you, we were at the verge of actually getting a $2 million grant from USAID. You don't repay grants.
Correct.
So but again, they're going to put some constraints on you. But even under those circumstances, you're not repaying the money. So
that's fine. That's fine.
You're absolutely right. I just want to support that idea of getting grants from the US agencies. And we're in the process of, at the last check, our application is in review for a $1.5 million grant from the USAID to promote what is called the Emergency Essential Critical Care in Nigeria. That is bringing critical care to primary care level for people who are not trained in pediatric ICU. You know, that is in review now. We are keeping our fingers crossed. So if it goes through, we're going to do it, but it's not money that you pay back. But they release their money. They release their money in stages. They don't give you the whole money at the same time, but they give it to you in bits, and then you show them. You know, there are what is called KPIs, performance.
Key performance index.
Key performance indicators. So as you meet your indicators, they release more money to you. You know, so we're still waiting to see that happen. So
and they probably have constraint that you buy US equipment, which you should be okay
That's
with.
fine. It's free money.
Yeah.
That's free money.
The other comment that I wanted to make is that your presentation is on point. It's fantastic. And it buttresses that point that I keep making, that people should just do something. It doesn't look at what we've done in the last 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours. This is Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas. But somebody was talking about education, somebody was talking about health, somebody was talking about agriculture. You know, just do something. I'm a strong believer in people. I'm also a strong believer in Nigeria. It doesn't matter what anybody tells me. It doesn't matter how bad we think that country is. I still think that when people get together, things will start happening. There are about 8,000. There's a statistics that Chinyere Anyogu put in the WhatsApp group for the chapter chairs. I don't know, Dr. Uddoh, if you saw that. She was saying that there are about 8,000 Nigerian American health professionals in America. So you can imagine that this 8,000 starts to do something, just something, and be intentional about it. I have a strong belief that in our lifetime, something in that country has to change. But it will depend on people. It will depend on us. Nobody will come to do that for us. So I'm saying this to encourage all of us. It doesn't matter. You can go big if you have the capacity. You can go small, but just do something and be intentional. You know, let it be. You can do something now and just leave it. But if you're intentional about it and have a long-term plan, whatever it is that you've planted will germinate. And if you water it, it will grow. Just an encouragement to all of us.
So Odiraa, right now you're sending people to go get training in South Africa, in other places. Yes. But I imagine that you are probably ready now to start your own training in Enugu.
Fantastic. So,
is that not correct? So
fantastic.
Dr. Adeleke set up cath labs in Ibadan, in Lagos and all this. And they're now doing cardiac catheterization training in Nigeria. And that's what needs to happen. These are being done by regular people.
So fantastic. Let's hope that we have life. The pediatric critical care training will come to Nigeria. Nigeria is the big. I'm not going to tell you guys what you don't know. Well, of course, we are bigger than South Africa. We are bigger than Kenya. We have people who can do this. You know, it's going to happen, Kelechi. Just trust me, it will happen.
Yeah, as I've said many times. I said that, you know, my village is where where I'm gonna take on, and that by the time, all I pray is another 20 years of active work, that some of us are made for this. And that if by God's will that you keep getting job and getting work, and for you reaching out to all these Americans, I don't know how you do it, because that's really where you know, initially that's where I went, and then I recall, because initially nothing has started, and so I recalled and said I'm gonna be the one doing it. And I believe my God believed in me that that things are working out. My village will be transformed before I leave this earth. They will remember who Cordelia is.
That's all you got to do.
Okay, guys, it's 8:57. I think we should start rounding up.
Very excellent presentation. This is one of the
Yeah.
best presentations I have attended. My comment or my question is, for a starter, I mean, how do you start? The three great speakers have done the hard way. My good friend, Chief Odiraa, he's a chief, if you don't know. Now he has done this. If I have to start, I would like to tap his knowledge. I would not like to go and recreate a lot of things that he has done, paved the way. So if there will be opportunity to call him or Dr. Lawrence or Ezenwa and say, look, I'm planning this. I will need an advice, an input. I hope I will have access to reach to any of you and say, look, this is my startup project, and I'm a novice in this aspect. You guys have experience. How will I go about it? I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so Austin, so one of the last slides I put there, or the last slide, talked about collaboration and that we're willing to work together with folks. Anytime I see a Nigerian who wants to do something in Nigeria, I get excited, honestly. I think what is most important is to search your mind and see what is it that is you're passionate about. What is it that you want to do, and go and look for a need. I think there are needs there. You just have to explore that. That said, I am willing, you have my number, you can call me, and then we can do that. I have identified a few obstacles that I think that Nigerians who are in America have, and it scares the hell out of them to do something in Nigeria. Mohammed Pate, who is the current Minister of Health and Coordinating Minister for Health or whatever, when he was at the World Bank, after he was Minister of State for Health, I wrote a proposal that I sent him then, asking that we can do, because in my own mind, I identified about 3 obstacles that I thought most Nigerian doctors here want to go to Nigeria to do things. If you can take away those obstacles for them. So I gave it to Mohammed Pat. I think I gave it to, I'm not sure now, but I think I gave that stuff to Hazy, when I was trying to see if I can get to talk about it in the ANPA conference. I'm not sure, but I think I gave it to Hazy too. So if those obstacles are taken away, it will make it so much easier for Nigerian doctors to go back to Nigeria to contribute. Pate was excited about it then. He did not pick it up eventually. Since he became a minister, you cannot believe that. The only message he responded to me was when I congratulated him. All the subsequent messages, he doesn't look at it. So that proposal has not died. It is still there. It's capital intensive. If for any reason I see people who can support that, it's going to take away those obstacles. What am I trying to say? There are obstacles that hold people back, more so in the health sector. But if you have something that is in your mind that you really want to do, please reach out. Call me. We'll talk about it. I feel so excited seeing Nigerians wanting to do something for Nigeria. You have a good ally here. I promise you that.
And you don't have to, you can take the easy, low-lying fruits, they say. When you get there, you change. You see something, it said, gee, boom. While you're doing that, and then where you're doing that, another one comes, you go that way. So there's always, so much to do there. And after a while, you get the experience. We're going to be talking again. We're going to have another part, and I'm going to share a lot more. That might be a little troubling for some of you. When I started very low. I'm going to go to the high-end project that some of you will, might encourage some of you, it might discourage for some of you, but for me, nothing ever discourages me. Nothing.
Okay.
Money is money. You earn it. If it doesn't go well, look for fire them. These days, I fire right away. Huh? Nigerians, we haven't talked about the work ethics. Nigerians, they come in to do what? They're not coming there to serve you. They're coming there to serve themselves. That should be in the front of your mind. And then you have to figure out how to overcome it. As I've told them, my guiding rule, I've told them, I'm not going to hire any Indian. I'm not going to hire any Chinese. It will be you. And I tell them, if you this, I will have, what do they call them? Secret shoppers, secret that you caught to undermine if you're caught to undermine in any way, in any fashion, you're fired. Your children will never walk there. Your grandchildren will never walk there. Now you go. You have to threaten them. And you have to do what you said you're gonna do. You will see them sit up.
Okay, it's 9:03. We've had an awesome meeting and a beautiful speaker forum. Thank you, everybody, for partaking. Good night. God bless.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you for your moderator. Which one are you gonna do, Osamu?
I'm gonna do next time. I'm gonna talk on For Bread for Life. We'll talk in the next meeting.
Thanks very much indeed. Thanks,
Okay,
everybody.
now take care now.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Great meeting.
Okay,
Great
bye.
meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Mm.